Sir, stop. Show me your ID and who you're here to see. I'm meeting counsel. I'm a state prosecutor. Once visible to the side, why me?
6:42 p.m. A Tuesday in late October, the parking structure behind Redwood Tech Park in San Mateo is lit in strips of buzzing fluorescent light. The air smells like damp concrete and hot brake pads. A black engineer named Marcus Reed walks toward a silver sedan he's leased for 3 months. A company benefit he still treats carefully, like it could be taken back if he scuffs it. He's wearing a badge on a lanyard, laptop bag on one shoulder, a hard hat clipped to the bag because he'd spent the afternoon on site. His phone is pressed to his ear, his voice low, professional, tired. "Yeah," he says, "I'm heading out now. I'll pick up Ava on the way home." A normal end to a normal day. The kind of moment nobody thinks will be replayed in court, slowed down frame by frame, turned into a number with commas in it. Marcus reaches his car and taps the key fob. The lights blink. The chirp is quick, soft. He pulls the handle and the door unlocks, like it's supposed to. Behind him, a vehicle rolls in slow, tires whispering across the concrete. A black and white patrol car. It doesn't park. It drifts, stops, idles, engine low like a warning. Marcus doesn't look at it at first. He slides into the driver's seat, sets his bag down, and leans to plug his phone into the charger. The call is still connected. Then the spotlight hits, a harsh beam through the rear window that turns the inside of the car into a small interrogation room. Marcus freezes, eyes narrowing against the glare. A voice cuts through the structure, amplified by a PA speaker. "Step out of the vehicle, now." Marcus's hand stays on the phone cable. His mouth opens, but nothing comes out at first. He blinks at the light, trying to make sense of where the command is coming from and why it's aimed at him. He turns his head and sees the officer standing near the patrol car door. White male, mid-40s, hand resting on his belt like it belongs there more than the rest of him. His posture is already certain, already finished with doubt. Marcus lifts his free hand, palm open, and leans toward the window. "Officer," Marcus says. "This is my out of the car," the officer snaps. "Keep your hands where I can see them." On the phone, Marcus's partner hears the change in his tone. "Marcus, what's happening?" Marcus swallows. He clicks the phone off without thinking, the way you do when something gets dangerous and you suddenly need both hands. He moves slowly, like he knows the rules, like he's memorized them from every story he's ever tried not to become. He opens the door, steps out, keeps his hands visible. The officer's flashlight swings up and down Marcus's body like it's searching for a reason. "What are you doing in this vehicle?" the officer asks. Marcus stares, confusion hardening into something sharper. "I'm leaving work. It's my car." The officer's gaze slides past Marcus toward the driver's seat, then back to Marcus's face. "Whose car is it?" the officer says again, slower. Like Marcus didn't understand English the first time. Marcus's voice stays controlled, but it thins at the edges. "It's leased, under my name. I can show you the paperwork. It's in the glove box." The registration is, "You're not reaching for anything," the officer says. His hand lifts, not to help, but to threaten. "You're not going back in that car." Marcus takes a breath. Okay, but you can run the plate. You can run my license." The officer doesn't move toward his cruiser computer. He moves toward Marcus. "Turn around," he says. Marcus's throat tightens. "Why am I being detained?" "Because you match a description," the officer says, and for a fraction of a second, he looks satisfied that he has spoken a magic phrase that ends conversation. Marcus stands still, hands still up. "A description of what?" The officer's eyes narrow. "Vehicle theft. This car was reported stolen. Turn around." That's the first time Marcus hears it. Stolen, not suspicious. Not a question. Stolen. His chest tightens with the sudden knowledge that logic might not matter here. "Officer," Marcus says carefully, "I work right there." He nods toward the glass building above the structure, the one with his company's logo glowing blue in the dark. "My badge is on my chest. This is my vehicle." The officer steps closer, invading the space, forcing Marcus to feel how small a person can become in their own life. "Turn around," the officer repeats, and the tone changes. It's not law enforcement anymore. It's domination. The kind that doesn't need facts. The kind that only needs compliance. Marcus turns, slowly, hands still visible. The concrete is cold under his shoes. He hears the officer's boots behind him. Then the line is crossed. Not verbally, physically. The officer grabs Marcus's left wrist and yanks it up high, twisting it behind his back. Pain shoots through Marcus's shoulder. His breath catches, involuntary. Hey, Marcus gasps. That hurts. I'm not resisting. Stop resisting. The officer barks anyway. The phrase landing like a pre-written caption, like he's already narrating for the report. Marcus's face tightens. He tries to keep balance as his arm is forced higher, joints screaming. The handcuffs snap around one wrist, cold metal, too tight, immediate. Marcus tries to turn his head. Can you loosen them? There, the officer shoves Marcus's shoulder forward. Marcus's chest hits the side of the sedan. The impact knocks air from his lungs. A second later, Marcus hears footsteps fast, not the slow certainty of the officer. A voice from the stairwell, a woman's voice, shaky and loud. Hey, what are you doing? A coworker, badge visible, phone held up in both hands, already recording. Her eyes are wide with disbelief, like she's watching something that should be impossible in this place, at this hour, under these lights. The officer doesn't look at her at first. He presses Marcus harder into the car and tightens the second cuff. Ma'am, step back, he says. I work here, she replies, voice trembling but refusing to shrink. He works here. That's Marcus. He's an engineer. Why are you arresting him? Marcus closes his eyes for a second. Not for relief, for restraint, for survival. He can feel the cuff biting into his skin. He can feel blood leaving his fingers. The officer finally glances at the woman's phone. The camera lens catches the light. Public visibility, suddenly, like a door opening. His jaw tightens. This vehicle is stolen, he says louder now, for the recording. He's in possession of stolen property. Marcus's voice is strained. Officer, run my ID, check the lease, call the leasing company, call my employer. The officer drags Marcus away from the sedan and toward the patrol car like a trophy being moved from one display case to another. Get in, he orders, pulling the rear door open. Marcus hesitates for half a second, not defiance. Just the human instinct to not climb into a cage when you've done nothing wrong. That half second is enough. The officer slams Marcus forward. Marcus's head clips the door frame. White sparks flash behind his eyes. He stumbles, tries to catch himself with cuffed hands that can't. The woman filming gasps, "Oh my God. Back up," the officer shouts at her. "Back up or you'll be arrested too." Marcus's knees hit the patrol car seat. He pulls his legs in, awkward, confined. The officer pushes the door shut with a force that feels personal. Inside the cruiser, Marcus's breathing is loud. The air smells like old sweat and plastic. He stares at the cage partition and tries to steady his thoughts. He thinks about Ava. He thinks about his partner waiting at daycare. He thinks about how quickly a normal day can turn into a record you can't erase. Outside, the officer stands by his trunk, still not running the plate, still not checking. He speaks into his radio with a calm that doesn't match what he just did. The woman filming keeps her phone up, arms shaking, refusing to stop. "What's your name?" she calls out. "What's your badge number?" The officer ignores her. He walks back to Marcus's lease sedan, flashlight sweeping the dashboard, the center console, the glove box through the window at first. Then he tries the handle. It's locked. Marcus watches, stunned. "You can't search my car without permission," he calls from inside the cruiser, voice muffled by the glass. The officer turns, looks straight at Marcus, and smiles without warmth. Then he produces a slim tool from his pocket like it's routine, like he's done this before. He wedges it at the door seam. The lock gives. The woman filming moves closer, voice rising. "Are you breaking into his car right now?" The officer's head snaps toward her. "Ma'am, last warning." Marcus's heart bangs against his ribs. Because now it's not just a false accusation. It's a crime being committed in uniform. A search without cause. A lock forced on camera. The officer opens the glove box and pulls out the registration packet. He flips through it quickly, impatiently. His face changes just slightly when he sees Marcus's name on the paperwork. The change is a flicker, a tiny betrayal of certainty. But he doesn't stop. He walks back to the patrol car with the paperwork in his hand. He holds it up near the rear window, where Marcus can see the edges of it, like showing a prisoner their own sentence. "Where'd you get this?" the officer asks. Marcus stares, baffled. That's my registration. My lease. It's under my name. It's right there. The officer leans in closer to the window. You saying you didn't steal this vehicle? Marcus's voice drops into something dangerously steady. I'm saying you're looking at proof that I didn't. The officer's eyes harden again. People forged documents. The woman filming whispers, half to herself, half to the phone, he's insane. The officer straightens and walks to his computer finally, typing in slow, deliberate strokes. He doesn't hurry. He doesn't apologize. He just searches for a way to make his original decision look reasonable. Minutes pass. 10. 15. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead like insects. Another car enters the garage. Two employees, a man and a woman, stop when they see Marcus in the cruiser. They look from the officer to the phone recording. They keep their distance at first, fear and caution mixing with outrage. Is that Marcus? The man says quietly. The woman nods, eyes glossy. Yeah, that's him. The man steps forward and raises his voice. Officer, he works here. What is going on? The officer's tone turns sharper. Stay back. Marcus watches a small crowd form a handful of coworkers, badges visible, phones lifting one by one. A circle of witnesses, not coordinated, just compelled by the wrongness. The officer's radio crackles. A dispatcher's voice, tinny and indifferent, bleeds into the night. The officer leans into the mic and answers quietly. Then he pauses. He looks down at his screen again. His fingers stop moving. Because the database tells the truth with no emotion, the vehicle is not stolen. No active report. Registered properly. Lease verified. The officer turns his head slowly toward the gathering phones. For a moment, the entire structure holds its breath. Marcus feels a cold wave move through him. Not relief. Something else. The realization that the arrest never needed a stolen report. The stolen report was the excuse. The decision was made before the facts. The officer opens the rear door of the cruiser and stands there, blocking the light. Step out, he says. Marcus shifts, stiff and careful. Am I under arrest? The officer's jaw works. No. Marcus steps out slowly. His hands are still cuffed behind his back. Blood is pooled in his wrists. He flexes his fingers and winces. Then take these off, Marcus says. The officer doesn't immediately comply. He looks at the phones. He looks at the witnesses. He looks at Marcus like Marcus is the one causing trouble by existing in the wrong body in the wrong place. Finally, the officer unlocks the cuffs. The metal releases with a click that sounds too small for what it did. Marcus rubs his wrists. Deep red grooves circle them, already swelling. The woman filming steps forward, still recording. Are you going to apologize? The officer doesn't answer her. He looks at Marcus. You're free to go, he says, as if granting a privilege instead of returning a right. Marcus stares at him. His voice is quiet now, almost flat, because emotion feels dangerous to display. You slammed my head into your car? The officer's eyes narrow. You should be thankful this didn't go worse. That line lands like a second strike. Not violence this time, a threat dressed as advice. A reminder of who held the power and how easily it could be used again. The crowd murmurs. Someone says, "Did he just say that?" Marcus turns away from the officer and walks toward his sedan. Every step is heavy. His shoulder throbs where it was twisted. His wrists burn. The officer goes back to his cruiser, trying to fold the moment into paperwork, trying to compress it into a narrative where he remains justified. But there are too many phones. Too many angles. Too much light. Marcus gets into his sedan with shaking hands and sits there, staring at the steering wheel, trying to inhale without his breath catching. His phone lights up with missed calls. Daycare. His partner. Work. He calls his partner back. The moment she answers, her voice breaks. Where are you? I've been calling. Ava's. I'm here, Marcus says, voice tight. I got stopped. It's handled. I'm coming now. He doesn't tell her everything yet. Not because he's hiding it. Because he can't say it out loud without it becoming real in a way he can't control. He drives home on autopilot. Wrists are stinging on the steering wheel, head still sore from the doorframe impact. Streetlights pass like metronomes measuring the distance between who he was this morning and who he is now. That night, after Ava's asleep, Marcus stands in the bathroom and turns his wrists under the light. The marks look like evidence. Like something that belongs in a file, his partner touches his arm and whispers, "We're not letting this disappear." In the days that follow, the story doesn't spread like gossip. It spreads like a warning. The coworker who recorded uploads the video to a private group, first employees, friends, a few attorneys. It moves outward, phone to phone, until it reaches someone who understands what footage like that can do when institutions try to bury a mistake. Marcus's employer asks him to file an internal incident report because the stop happened on property adjacent to their campus. They offer support in careful corporate language. They also ask if the media has contacted him yet, and in the question is a subtle fear, not of the injustice, but of the exposure. The police department issues a short statement. An investigative detention occurred. The individual was released after information was clarified. Clarified. Not, "We were wrong." Not, "We violated rights." Not, "We hurt someone." Clarified. Marcus meets with an attorney in a small office that smells like coffee and copier toner. The attorney watches the video without blinking, rewinding certain seconds, freezing frames. "Here," the attorney says, pointing. He says the car is stolen before verifying. Here, he uses force after you comply. Here, he searches without cause. And here, this is the part departments always regret. He threatens you after releasing you. Marcus listens, jaw clenched. The attorney's voice is steady, practiced, not shocked. Like this is a pattern, not an exception. "What do we do?" Marcus asks. "We document everything," the attorney replies. "Medical records, wrist injuries, head injury, lost time, emotional distress. We request body cam, dash cam, CAD logs, radio traffic, any internal emails, and we don't let them define the story." The department delays. They say the body camera malfunctioned. They say the dash cam was not activated. They say the officer's report does not reflect intentional wrongdoing. But the phones from the garage do not malfunction. They do not forget. They show the spotlight, the commands, the cuffs, the forced entry into the vehicle. The proof of ownership dismissed. The threat, "You should be thankful this didn't go worse." As weeks pass, the case becomes less about Marcus and more about the machinery around the officer. Supervisors who sign off on reports that contradict video. Records units that lose requests. Internal affairs investigators who ask Marcus why he didn't just comply when he did. Marcus's attorney files a civil rights lawsuit. Federal, specific, unforgiving. Depositions begin. The officer sits in a conference room. Oath sworn, suit ill-fitting, hands folded in front of him like he can posture his way out of recorded reality. "Why did you state the vehicle was stolen before confirming?" the attorney asks. "I had reasonable suspicion," the officer says. "What was the suspicion based on?" "A description." "What description?" The officer pauses too long. "A black male in a silver sedan." The room goes quiet. The court reporter's fingers keep moving, impartial, recording every word like it's just text. Marcus sits beside his attorney and stares straight ahead. He feels something settle in his chest, heavy and cold. Not surprise. Confirmation. The delayed reveal isn't a twist. It's a confession. The officer tries to backpedal. He says he meant a male, not a black male. The attorney replays his earlier statements, the dispatch logs, the lack of any theft report. The timeline collapses under its own weight. Then the department is pulled in. Policies, training, prior complaints, use of force reports, patterns of stops in that area, who reviewed them, who ignored them. A judge orders the release of certain records. The public learns the officer has prior allegations, similar stops, similar language, similar escalation. Settled quietly, buried, repeated. This time, there are too many cameras, too many witnesses, too much paper trail. The city tries to negotiate quietly at first. They offer a number that sounds large until you hear what it's buying. Silence, closure, the right to continue operating the same way. Marcus refuses, not for pride, for finality, for the kind of consequence that can't be undone by a press release. The case moves closer to trial. The city's attorneys begin to understand what a jury will see. A compliant man treated like a criminal, a search conducted like entitlement, an officer improvising theft because theft justifies violence, and then trying to erase it afterward. the settlement number rises. The conversations sharpen. And then, in a courtroom heavy with polished wood and quiet authority, the agreement is finalized. $7.9 million. Not a donation, not a gift. A judgment of value assigned to violated rights and institutional failure. The officer is terminated, not resigned, not reassigned. Fired, with cause documented in files that follow him beyond the department's walls. The city announces policy changes, updated training, revised stop procedures, mandatory activation of cameras, disciplinary measures for non-compliance. There are meetings, memos, new checkboxes. There is language about community trust. But what makes it irreversible isn't the language. It's the money and the firing and the record. It's the fact that this time, the institution couldn't absorb the damage quietly. Marcus receives the settlement, and the first thing it buys him is not luxury. It buys him space to breathe, therapy he no longer has to justify, time off without fear being replaced, a college fund for Ava that feels like a defiant promise. But the real shift happens in places the camera can't capture. Marcus returns to the parking structure months later, not because he wants to, but because he refuses to let it become a place he avoids. The fluorescent lights are the same. The concrete still smells like damp stone. He stands beside his car and listens to the quiet, to the distant hum of traffic, to the echo of footsteps above. He flexes his wrists. The marks are gone, but the memory isn't. He thinks about how quickly power turned into violence, and how slowly accountability arrived. He thinks about how the officer's threat was meant to teach him something, that survival depends on silence. Instead, Marcus taught the opposite lesson. That evidence can outlive intimidation, that witnesses matter, that a system will protect itself until the cost becomes too high. He gets in the car, starts the engine, and drives out of the structure without looking down, without shrinking. Because justice, when it finally comes, doesn't feel like celebration. It feels like a door that locks behind you. It feels final. If you want more stories where accountability is earned and abuse of power meets consequences, subscribe.